The divorce papers landed on Amara's kitchen table with a sound that felt like a gunshot. Her hands trembled as she stared at the thick legal document, the Korean characters swimming before her eyes. 500 million won. That's what her mother-in-law thought she was worth. That's the price tag Mrs. Kong had placed on her disappearance. Sign them by Friday, or Ji-hoon loses everything. The company, his inheritance, his future. All because he was foolish enough to marry you. Mrs. Kang's words from an hour ago still echoed in Amara's head, each syllable like a knife. 2 years. 2 years of marriage, of building a life together, of proving to everyone that their love story was real. And now this. Amara's hand moved to her pocket, fingers brushing against the pregnancy test she'd taken that morning. 3 lines. Twins. She was carrying Ji-hoon's twins, and his mother wanted her gone before anyone found out. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Not Ji-hoon's number. Unknown. A video message. She pressed play with shaking fingers. The video was security footage, grainy but clear enough. Mrs. Kang's office. The timestamp read 1 week ago. Amara watched as her mother-in-law sat across from a beautiful Korean woman in an expensive white dress. The audio crackled to life. You understand what needs to happen, Mrs. Kang's voice was cold, businesslike. The other woman's face came into view. She was stunning, elegant, everything Amara had always feared she should be. You want me to break them up? Like you broke us up 4 years ago. I'm giving you a second chance, Yuna. Marry Ji-hoon. Merge our companies. This is what should have happened before that foolish girl trapped him. Amara's stomach lurched. Yuna. Park Yuna. The name Ji-hoon had finally admitted to her just last week. His ex-fiancée. The engagement he'd hidden for 2 years. And if I refuse again? Yuna's voice was steady but Amara could hear the fear underneath. Then your father's company faces some very unfortunate complications. SEC investigations can be so unpredictable, can't they? Amara dropped her phone. The screen cracked against the tile floor, but the video kept playing, the voices drifting up from the shattered glass. You're blackmailing me. I'm protecting my family. You'll do what's necessary, or both our families suffer. As for the Nigerian woman, I've already made arrangements. She'll be gone by the end of the month. One way or another. The video cut to black. Amara stood frozen in her kitchen, the same kitchen where she and Ji-hoon had cooked breakfast together that morning, laughing about burnt toast and his terrible coffee. The same kitchen where he'd kissed her goodbye, told her he loved her, promised to be home early for their anniversary dinner. Their second anniversary. 2 years since she'd accidentally sent him that text message. 2 years since she'd been mortified, terrified, certain her life was over. 2 years since he'd looked at her in that elevator and said he wished the message had been meant for him. Now his mother wanted to erase all of it. Erase her. A text message appeared on her cracked screen. Same unknown number. I sent this to you because you deserve to know the truth. Mrs. Kong won't stop. But neither should you. Fight back. You're stronger than she thinks. Trust me, I know. Yuna. Amara picked up the phone with trembling hands and texted back. We need to meet. Now. The response came immediately. Café Memento. 30 minutes. Come alone. And Amara? Congratulations on the twins. Guard that secret with your life. Amara's blood ran cold. How did Yuna know about the pregnancy? How long had she been watched? She looked around her apartment suddenly, seeing it differently. Were there cameras? Listening devices? How deep did Mrs. Kang's surveillance go? She grabbed her jacket and keys, her mind racing. She needed to get out, needed to think, needed to understand what was happening to her life. But as she reached for the door, it swung open. Ji-hoon stood there, his face pale, his eyes wild with something that looked like panic. Amara, thank God. I've been calling you for hours. Your phone went straight to voicemail. I thought something happened. I thought you'd left. He pulled her into his arms, but she stood stiff, unyielding. Your mother came to see me today, she said quietly. Ji-hoon went still. What did she want? Amara pulled away from him, walked to the kitchen table, picked up the divorce papers and held them out. 500 million won. That's what she's offering me to disappear from your life. The color drained from Ji-hoon's face. He took the papers with shaking hands, his eyes scanning the document with growing horror. She had no right. Amara, I didn't know about this. I swear to you, I had no idea she would do something like this. Didn't you? The words came out harsher than she intended, but she couldn't stop them. You've been hiding things from me for weeks. Your father's illness. The board's pressure. The fact that you were engaged before. How am I supposed to believe you didn't know about this too? I was trying to protect you from all of that. The politics, the pressure, it's not something you should have to deal with. I'm your wife, Ji-hoon. I'm supposed to deal with it. That's what partnership means. But instead, you kept me in the dark while your mother plotted to remove me like I'm some kind of obstacle. You're not an obstacle. You're my wife. The woman I love. Am I? Or am I just your rebellion? Your way of proving to your family that you can make your own choices. She hated how her voice cracked, hated the tears threatening to spill. I heard you on the phone last week. Talking to your father. You called me a situation. The Amara situation. Like I'm a problem to be solved. Ji-hoon's face crumpled. That's not what I meant. I was trying to buy time, trying to figure out how to protect both you and the company. The board is threatening to vote me out if I don't prove I can prioritize the business. My father is dying, Amara. He has maybe 6 months left, and he's being pressured to name a successor, and they're all using our marriage as evidence that I'm not ready. So what's the solution? Sign these papers. Let me disappear so you can have your company. No. God, no. The solution is we fight this together. But I can't fight if you don't trust me with the truth. Why didn't you tell me about my mother's visit immediately? Because I found out something else. Something that makes me question everything I thought I knew about you. She pulled out her phone, the screen still cracked, and played the video for him. She watched his face as he listened to his mother's voice, saw the shock, the anger, the devastation play across his features. When it ended, he looked like he might be sick. Park Yuna, he whispered. She's involved in this? According to the video, your mother is blackmailing her into breaking us up. Using her family's company as leverage. Ji-hoon, how many other secrets are there? How many other people from your past are going to show up and blow apart our life? Yuna and I were engaged 4 years ago. It was arranged by our families, a business merger disguised as a marriage. We cared about each other, but it wasn't love. Not the way I love you. She broke it off because she wanted her own life, her own choices. I was hurt at the time, but looking back, I'm grateful she was brave enough to walk away from what everyone expected. Why didn't you tell me about her? Because it didn't matter. She was part of a life I left behind when I chose you. When you sent me that text message, when I saw you in that presentation, saw your passion and brilliance and fire, I realized what I'd been missing. Real connection. Real love. Not an arrangement. It matters now. Your mother is using her against us. And if Yuna sent me this video, that means she's either helping me or setting a trap. Either way, I need to meet with her. She texted me. She knows about the pregnancy. Ji-hoon's eyes went wide. The pregnancy? Amara, what are you talking about? The words hung in the air between them. Amara hadn't meant to tell him like this, in anger and fear and confusion. She'd imagined candlelight and joy, his face lighting up with happiness. Not this. I'm pregnant, she said quietly. Twins. I found out this morning. I was going to tell you tonight at dinner. It was supposed to be our anniversary surprise. Ji-hoon moved toward her, but she held up a hand, stopping him. Your mother knows. Yuna knows. Everyone seems to know except you. Which means they've been watching me, following me, invading my privacy. Your mother had investigators on me, Ji-hoon. While I was taking a pregnancy test, while I was at the doctor confirming it, someone was documenting it all. We're calling the police. This is harassment. This is illegal. This is your family. Your mother. The woman who raised you. Can you really turn her into the police? The question hung heavy between them. Ji-hoon's face was a war of emotions, rage at his mother, fear for Amara, confusion about how to navigate the impossible situation they found themselves in. I need to go meet Yuna, Amara said, grabbing her purse. Alone. Absolutely not. You're not meeting my ex-fiancée alone when my mother is clearly orchestrating something. I'm meeting her because she's the only one who seems willing to tell me the truth. And because if I don't start taking control of this situation, I'm going to lose everything. Including myself. She walked past him to the door. Amara, wait. She turned. Ji-hoon looked broken, standing in their kitchen surrounded by the debris of their unraveling life. I love you, he said. I know I've handled this all wrong. I know I've kept things from you that I shouldn't have. But I love you. That's the one truth that hasn't changed since the moment you accidentally sent me that message. You're not a situation. You're not a rebellion. You're my home. Amara felt tears finally spill down her cheeks. Then prove it. Because right now, love isn't enough. I need to know you'll fight for us. Really fight. Not try to protect me from the battle, but fight beside me in it. I will. Whatever it takes. Good. Because we're about to go to war with your mother. And I don't plan on losing. She left before he could respond, before she could let him see how terrified she really was. The elevator ride down felt like déjà vu. 2 years ago, in a different elevator, he told her he wished her message had been for him. Now she stood alone, carrying his children, about to meet the woman he was supposed to marry. Life had a cruel sense of humor. Café Memento was a sleek, modern space in Gangnam, the kind of place where Korea's elite met for business disguised as casual coffee. Amara spotted Park Yuna immediately. She sat in a corner booth, her posture perfect, her cream-colored suit impeccable. She was even more beautiful in person, with delicate features and an air of quiet elegance that made Amara suddenly aware of her own windblown hair and smudged makeup from crying. Yuna stood as Amara approached, her smile warm but sad. Thank you for coming. I know this must be strange for you. Strange is an understatement, Amara said, sliding into the booth across from her. You're my husband's ex-fiancé who's apparently being blackmailed by his mother to break up our marriage. And you know I'm pregnant with twins. So yeah, strange covers it. Yuna had the grace to look ashamed. I sent you that video because I couldn't go through with it. Mrs. Kong destroyed my relationship with Ji-hoon 4 years ago by making him choose between love and duty. He chose duty then. I wasn't going to help her make him choose again. Why are you helping me? What's in it for you? Redemption, maybe. Or just the chance to make sure someone else doesn't make the same mistakes I did. Yuna pulled a thick folder from her designer bag and slid it across the table. This is everything I've gathered over the past week. Everything Mrs. Kong is planning. Everything you need to know. Amara opened the folder with trembling hands. Inside were documents, photographs, financial records. Her eyes widened as she scanned the contents. These are drafted divorce papers. Already prepared, already signed by her lawyer. She was planning this weeks ago. Keep reading. Amara flipped through more pages. An investigation report with her photo on it, detailing her movements, her habits, her friends. A financial analysis that painted her as a gold digger who'd married for money. Fabricated evidence of infidelity with a coworker she'd never even spoken to alone. A timeline labeled "Removal of Foreign Obstacle" with dates and action items. She's been planning to destroy me for months, Amara whispered, her hands shaking so badly the papers rustled. While I was going to work, loving my husband, building our life, she was building a case against me. There's more. Look at the last section. Amara turned to the final pages and felt her blood run cold. A list of board members with notations next to their names. Bribed 50M1. Threatened tax fraud. Compromising photos secured. Evidence of illegal corporate manipulation, fraud, blackmail. Your mother-in-law isn't just controlling, Amara said slowly. She's a criminal. She's desperate. Ji-hoon's father is dying. The succession has to be decided in the next 3 months. The board is split between Ji-hoon and his uncle. Mrs. Kong believes that if Ji-hoon is married to you, a foreigner with no corporate connections, the board will never fully support him. She thinks she's protecting her son's future. By destroying his marriage and committing crimes. In her mind, it's justified. Family legacy is everything. You're an outsider who doesn't understand the rules, the sacrifices, the way things work in families like theirs. She sees you as a beautiful mistake that needs to be corrected. Amara looked up at Yuna, studying her carefully. You said she made Ji-hoon choose between love and duty 4 years ago. What did you mean? Yuna's perfect composure cracked slightly. We were engaged for a year. I cared about him deeply, maybe even loved him in my own way. But I realized I couldn't live the life Mrs. Kong had planned for me. Corporate wife, perfect hostess, silent supporter of her son's career. I wanted to paint, to travel, to make my own choices. When I told her I was having doubts, she gave me an ultimatum. Marry Ji-hoon and secure both our family businesses, or she'd tank my father's company through her board connections. What did Ji-hoon say when you told him? I never told him. I just broke up with him and left for Paris. Told him I didn't love him enough. Let him think I was selfish and flighty. It was easier than admitting his mother had backed me into a corner and I wasn't brave enough to fight. But you're being brave now. Why? Because I've spent 4 years regretting that I didn't stand up to her. For years wondering what my life would have been like if I'd fought for what I wanted instead of running. When she contacted me last week with this plan, asked me to come back and help her remove you, I almost said yes. The blackmail threat was real, my father's company is vulnerable. But then I thought about you. About the woman who was brave enough to build a life in a foreign country, to love a man across cultures, to stand up to a world that doesn't always accept you. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't be the reason another woman lost her chance at happiness. Amara felt an unexpected surge of empathy for this elegant woman sitting across from her. Thank you. For the video. For these documents. For choosing to help me instead of save yourself. Don't thank me yet. Mrs. Kong won't stop just because I backed out. She'll find another way. She always does. That's why I need to tell you the hardest part. Yuna leaned forward, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. She knows about your pregnancy. She has medical records, doctor's appointments, everything. And she's planning to use it. Use it how? To prove you trapped Ji-hoon. To make it look like you got pregnant deliberately to secure your position in the family. She's going to take this beautiful thing, these babies you're carrying, and weaponize it against you. Amara felt sick. How is she getting medical information? That's supposed to be private. Money buys privacy violations. I don't know the specifics, but she has someone inside your doctor's office. Someone who's been feeding her information for months. The room spun. Amara gripped the edge of the table, trying to steady herself. I need to get out of here. I need to think. Wait. There's one more thing. Yuna reached across the table, her hand covering Amara's. These documents I gave you. They're not just evidence against Mrs. Khan. They're evidence of actual crimes. Bribery, blackmail, fraud. If you take these to the board, to the authorities, you could destroy her. But you'll also destroy Ji-hoon's family. His father's legacy. Everything he's worked for. You'll win, but the cost might be your marriage anyway. So what am I supposed to do? Let her win? Sign the divorce papers and disappear? No. You fight back. But you fight smart. Use the information to protect yourself, not to attack. Make it clear that if she comes after you, everyone goes down. Mutually assured destruction. It's the only language women like Mrs. Kong understand. Amara left the cafe with the folder clutched against her chest like armor. Her phone had 17 missed calls from Ji-hoon and 12 text messages begging her to come home, to talk to him, to let him fix this. But she couldn't go home yet. She needed to think, to plan, to figure out her next move. She found herself at Soo-jin's apartment, pounding on the door at 9 p.m. without warning. Soo-jin opened the door in pajamas, her face immediately shifting to concern. Amara? What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Amara walked inside and dropped the folder on Soo-jin's coffee table. I need your help. I need to destroy my mother-in-law before she destroys me. They spent the next 3 hours going through every document, every photo, every piece of evidence. Soo-jin, who worked in corporate law, pointed out the most damaging information. This is enough to send her to prison, Soo-jin said, her eyes wide. Amara, this isn't just family drama. This is serious criminal activity. If you take this to the authorities, Mrs. Kong goes down. Hard. But so does Ji-hoon's family. His father is dying. His company's reputation would be destroyed. The scandal would ruin everything he's built. So you're just going to let her win? Let her drive you out of your own marriage? I'm going to use this to protect myself. Like Yuna said. Mutually assured destruction. If she tries to force me out, I take her down with me. That's playing with nuclear weapons, babe. Are you sure you're ready for that kind of war? Amara thought about the pregnancy test in her pocket. About the twins growing inside her. About Ji-hoon's face when she told him she was pregnant. About the life she'd built here in Seoul, the career she'd worked for, the love she'd fought to protect. I'm from Lagos, she said quietly. We don't run from fights. We win them. Her phone rang. Ji-hoon again. This time she answered. Where are you? His voice was frantic. It's been 5 hours. I've been losing my mind. I'm at Soo-jin's. I'm safe. And I'm coming home. We need to talk. Thank God. I'll come get you. No. I'll come to you. And Ji-hoon? I know everything now. Your mother's plans, the evidence against me, all of it. When I get home, we're going to make a plan. Together. No more secrets. No more protecting me from the truth. If we're going to fight this, we fight as partners. Whatever you need. I'm with you. But when Amara arrived home an hour later, Ji-hoon wasn't alone. Sitting in their living room, perfectly composed in a black designer suit, was Mrs. Kong. Hello, Amara, she said, her voice dripping with false warmth. I hope you don't mind me letting myself in. My son gave me a key months ago. We need to have a conversation. An honest one. About your future with this family. Amara looked at Ji-hoon, who stood rigid by the window, his face pale. I came home and found her here. She won't leave until she talks to you. Then let's talk, Amara said, setting down her bag and the folder. She sat across from Mrs. Kong, channeling every ounce of confidence she'd learned in Lagos, every bit of strength she'd built in Seoul. But I should warn you, Mrs. Kong. I know everything. Every plan. Every manipulation. Every crime. Mrs. Kang's smile didn't falter. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. I mean the bribery. The blackmail. The illegal investigation into my personal life. The theft of my medical records. Should I continue? Now Mrs. Kang's composure cracked, just slightly. Her eyes flicked to the folder on the table. Where did you get that information? From someone who knows exactly what kind of woman you are. Someone you tried to use as a weapon against me. Park Yuna, Mrs. Kong said the name like a curse. That ungrateful girl. After everything our families did for each other. After you blackmailed her, you mean. After you destroyed her relationship with your son and drove her out of the country. Mrs. Kong stood, her calm facade shattering. You know nothing about what I've sacrificed for this family. What I've had to do to protect my son's future. You waltz into our lives with your foreign ways and your pretty face, and you think you understand what it means to be part of this family? You think love is enough? I think integrity is enough. I think partnership is enough. I think choosing your spouse over control is enough. You're carrying his children. I know that. Don't think you can use that pregnancy as a shield. Women have been trapping men with babies since the beginning of time. I'm not trapping anyone. I'm building a family with the man I love. Then you're a fool. Love fades. Power endures. Money protects. Family legacy lasts generations. What can you offer my son that matches any of that? Before Amara could answer, Ji-hoon spoke from across the room. His voice was cold, harder than Amara had ever heard it. She offers me partnership. Respect. A marriage built on truth instead of manipulation. Mother, you need to leave. Now. Ji-hoon, don't be dramatic. I'm trying to save you from making the biggest mistake of your life. No. You're trying to control my life because you couldn't control your own. You married father because your parents told you to. You became the perfect corporate wife because that's what was expected. And now you're miserable and you want me to be miserable too. Mrs. Kong looked like she'd been slapped. How dare you speak to me that way? How dare you threaten my wife? How dare you invade her privacy, forge evidence against her, blackmail innocent people? You've committed crimes, mother. Real crimes. And I have the evidence to prove it. Amara stood, picked up the folder, and walked to Mrs. Kong. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave our home and never threaten me again. You're going to stop your investigation, destroy any fabricated evidence, and cease all contact with anyone you've bribed or blackmailed. And in return, I won't take this folder to the authorities. I won't destroy your reputation, your husband's legacy, or your son's future. You're blackmailing me now. How quickly you've learned our ways. I'm protecting my family. Just like you claim to be doing. The difference is, I'm willing to show mercy. Are you? Mrs. Kang's eyes were cold, calculating. And if I refuse? Then I go to the board meeting on Monday with every page of this folder. I show them exactly what kind of woman has been pulling the strings behind the scenes. I let them decide if they want a company run by someone who engages in criminal activity. And then I call the prosecutor's office and let the law decide the rest. The silence stretched between them, thick with tension. Finally, Mrs. Kong spoke. You think you've won. But this isn't over. I will find a way to remove you from my son's life. One way or another. Try it, Amara said quietly. And I'll finish what I started. I'm not the naive foreign girl you thought I was. I'm a woman who's fought her whole life to be taken seriously, to earn respect, to build something real. And I'm not going to let you take that away from me. Mrs. Kong grabbed her purse and walked to the door. She paused, looking back at Ji-hoon. You're choosing her over your family. Over your father's dying wish. Over everything we've built. I hope you can live with that choice. I can, Ji-hoon said. Because she is my family now. And our children will be your grandchildren. You can choose to be part of their lives with dignity and respect, or you can be absent. But you will never control us again. Mrs. Kong left without another word, the door closing behind her with a soft click that felt like a gunshot. The moment she was gone, Ji-hoon crossed the room and pulled Amara into his arms. She felt him shaking, felt the tension in his body, the weight of what he'd just done. I'm sorry, he whispered into her hair. I'm so sorry I didn't protect you from this sooner. I'm sorry I kept secrets and tried to handle everything alone. We handled it together, Amara said. Finally. The way we should have from the beginning. What happens now? Now we wait and see if your mother backs down or if we have to follow through on our threat. And if she doesn't back down, then we burn it all down and rebuild from the ashes. Together. They stood in their living room holding each other as the Seoul city lights twinkled outside the window. Amara thought about the text message that had started everything. The mortifying mistake that had led her to this moment. If someone had told her 2 years ago that she'd be standing in a Seoul apartment, pregnant with twins, locked in a power struggle with one of Korea's most influential families, she would have laughed. But life had a way of taking your biggest mistakes and turning them into your greatest blessings. You just had to be brave enough to fight for them. If you're on the edge of your seat right now, hit that subscribe button because this story is far from over. Drop a comment telling me what you would do in Amara's position. Would you fight or would you run? And smash that like button if you believe love is worth fighting for, no matter who stands in your way. The next morning, Amara woke to her phone buzzing with notifications. Dozens of them. Her stomach dropped as she grabbed the phone, fearing the worst. But the messages weren't threats. They were from colleagues, friends, even people she barely knew. All sending her links to the same news article. Tech dynasty in turmoil, Chairman Kong hospitalized, succession crisis deepens. She read with growing dread. Ji-hoon's father had collapsed during an early morning meeting. He was in intensive care. The article speculated about power struggles, about Ji-hoon's readiness to lead, about family conflicts threatening the company's stability. Ji-hoon burst through the bedroom door, already dressed in a suit, his face ashen. I have to go to the hospital. Father collapsed. The board is calling an emergency meeting. Amara, this is it. This is my mother's endgame. She's going to use father's collapse to force the succession vote. Today. Then I'm coming with you. No. It's going to be a battlefield. Board members, family, corporate politics at their ugliest. I can't protect you from that. I don't need protection. I need to be by my husband's side. Where I belong. They arrived at the hospital to find it swarming with executives, board members, and media. Mrs. Kong stood in the center of it all, composed and regal, accepting sympathies like a queen. When she saw Ji-hoon and Amara, her eyes narrowed. Ji-hoon, your father is asking for you. Alone. Ji-hoon looked at Amara, torn. She squeezed his hand. Go. Be with him. I'll wait here. She watched him disappear into the ICU, then found herself standing alone in a hallway full of people who saw her as an outsider. An obstacle. The foreign wife who didn't belong. Mrs. Kong. A hand touched her elbow. She turned to find Ji-hoon's uncle, the man vying for the chairman position, looking at her with undisguised disdain. I suggest you go home. This is a family matter. Corporate business. Not appropriate for guests. I'm not a guest. I'm Ji-hoon's wife. For now. But these situations have a way of resolving themselves. Especially when one realizes how out of their depth they truly are. Before Amara could respond, the ICU doors opened and a doctor emerged. The family can see him now. Immediate family only. Mrs. Kang, Ji-hoon's uncle, and several others moved toward the doors. Amara started to follow, but Mrs. Kang blocked her path. Immediate family. You heard the doctor. I'm his daughter-in-law. You're a piece of paper signed in a moment of rebellion. Not family. Not where it counts. The words hit like physical blows. Amara stood frozen as the doors closed, watching through the glass as Ji-hoon's family surrounded his father's bed. Watching as she was left outside. Separated. Other. She pulled out her phone and called Soo-jin. She's doing it, Amara said, her voice shaking. She's using his father's collapse to isolate me. To show everyone I don't belong. Then show them you do. Fight back, Amara. You have the folder. You have the evidence. Use it. If I do that now, while his father is dying, I'll look like a monster. Ji-hoon will never forgive me. And if you don't, she wins. She gets to write the narrative. Gets to paint you as the opportunist who trapped her son. What's more important? Looking good or surviving? Amara closed her eyes, thinking about the babies growing inside her. About the life she'd built. About the choice in front of her. She made a decision. 30 minutes later, the board meeting convened in a conference room on the hospital's executive floor. Amara walked in uninvited, carrying the folder. Mrs. Kang, you can't be here, Ji-hoon's uncle started. It's Ms. Okonkwo, actually. I kept my name. And I can be here because I have information the board needs before making any succession decisions. Mrs. Kang's face went pale. This is highly inappropriate. We're discussing sensitive corporate matters. Like bribery. Blackmail. Fraud. Amara opened the folder and began distributing copies to the stunned board members. Because I have evidence that some of your recent corporate decisions have been influenced by illegal activity. And I think you all deserve to know before you vote on anything. The next 20 minutes were chaos. Board members reading documents, shouting accusations, demanding explanations. Mrs. Kang tried to deflect, to discredit the evidence, but it was too thorough, too detailed. Finally, one of the senior board members stood. This meeting is over. We need to investigate these allegations before any succession vote can take place. Mrs. Kang, I'm afraid we'll need you to step back from all company activities pending a full audit. Ji-hoon burst through the door at that moment, looking between his mother and Amara with confusion and dawning horror. What's happening? What did you do? I protected us, Amara said quietly. I did what I had to do. Mrs. Kang's voice was ice. She destroyed your family. While your father lies dying, she's tearing apart everything he built. No, a new voice spoke from the doorway. Everyone turned to see Ji-hoon's father, pale and weak, supported by two nurses. She exposed what was already rotten. What I've been too weak to address for years. Sir, you should be in bed, the nurse protested. I'll have plenty of time to rest soon enough. He looked at Mrs. Kang with an expression Amara couldn't read. Disappointment? Grief? I knew about some of your activities. Not all of them. But enough to know you'd crossed lines I wouldn't have allowed. I was too sick to fight you, too tired to stop you. I told myself it was for the family's good. That you were just being protective. I was protecting our legacy. Our son's future. You were protecting your control. Your power. He turned to Ji-hoon. Your mother and I need to talk. Privately. But first, I need to say something to your wife. He shuffled toward Amara, each step clearly painful. Ms. Okonkwo, I owe you an apology. I've watched from the sidelines as my wife made your life difficult. I told myself it wasn't my place to interfere in women's business, that they'd work it out. I was a coward. You were sick, Amara said softly. Being sick doesn't excuse being weak. You've shown more courage in these past few days than I've shown in years. More integrity than some people I've trusted my whole life. My son chose well when he chose you. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. He looked at Ji-hoon. As for succession, the board will make their decision when they're ready. But regardless of what they decide, you'll have my blessing. You and your wife. You and your family. Build something better than what we had. Build it on truth instead of control. He turned back to his wife. Come. We have much to discuss. Mrs. Kong followed him out, her composure finally cracking, tears streaming down her face. The board members filed out awkwardly, leaving Ji-hoon and Amara alone in the conference room. You did it, Ji-hoon said, pulling her close. You actually did it. You fought back and you won. We won. Together. What happens now? Now we wait. For the investigation. For the board's decision. For your father to heal or. She couldn't finish the sentence. For our family to begin, Ji-hoon said, his hand moving to her stomach. Twins. I still can't believe it. Believe it. In 7 months, our lives are going to get a lot more complicated. Good. I've learned that the best things in my life started with complications. Like a misdirected text message. They stood together in the quiet conference room, knowing the battle wasn't over but feeling, for the first time in weeks, like they might actually survive it. Like they might actually win. 6 months passed. Ji-hoon's father recovered enough to officially retire, naming Ji-hoon as chairman with the board's full support. Mrs. Kong stepped back from all company activities, entering therapy and slowly, painfully, trying to repair her relationship with her son. The investigation into her activities resulted in fines and probation but no jail time, largely because Ji-hoon advocated for mercy. Amara's pregnancy progressed. The twins, a boy and a girl, grew strong and healthy. She continued working until her 7th month, earning respect from colleagues who watched her navigate corporate politics while pregnant. And on a warm spring evening, in the same hospital where she'd fought her biggest battle, Amara gave birth to Chioma Yuna Kong and Chikwudi James Kong. 2 perfect babies who would grow up bridging 2 cultures, 2 worlds, 2 families learning to love each other. Mrs. Kong came to the hospital the day after the birth. She stood in the doorway uncertainly, holding expensive gifts, her usual confidence replaced with something that looked like humility. May I come in? She asked quietly. Amara looked at Ji-hoon, who nodded. Yes. Come meet your grandchildren. Mrs. Kong approached the bassinet slowly, tears streaming down her face as she looked at the tiny babies. They're beautiful. Perfect. Would you like to hold them? Amara offered. May I? Family should hold family. Mrs. Kong carefully picked up her grandson, cradling him with shaking hands. I'm sorry, she whispered, and Amara knew she was talking to all of them. To the babies, to Ji-hoon, to her. I'm so sorry for everything. We know, Ji-hoon said. And we're willing to try again. To build something new. But it has to be different this time. Based on respect. On honesty. I understand. And I'll try. I'll try to be better. She looked at Amara. You were right. About everything. About what matters. About what's worth fighting for. I was also right about something else, Amara said softly. Family is worth saving. Even when it's hard. Even when it's broken. We fix it because that's what love does. 2 years after a wrong text message had changed her life, Amara sat in a Seoul hospital room holding her newborn children, surrounded by a family that had tried to break her and had instead been broken and rebuilt into something stronger. Something real. She thought about the girl she'd been, terrified and mortified by a simple mistake. She thought about everything she'd fought for, everything she'd almost lost, everything she'd gained. What are you thinking about? Ji-hoon asked, settling beside her on the bed. About wrong messages and right moments. About mistakes that become blessings. About fighting for what matters even when everyone tells you to give up. Any regrets? Not a single one. And as her daughter began to cry and her son stirred in his grandmother's arms, as her husband kissed her forehead and her mother-in-law smiled through tears at the family they'd all fought so hard to become, Amara Okonkwo knew something with absolute certainty. Sometimes the worst moments of your life are just the universe pushing you exactly where you need to be. You just have to be brave enough to fight your way there. Brave enough to demand respect. Brave enough to protect what you love. Brave enough to rebuild what's broken. Brave enough to turn a wrong message into a lifetime of right moments. If this story touched your heart, if you felt every moment of Amara's fight, then I need you to do 3 things. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss another story. Drop a comment telling me about a time you had to fight for what you loved. And smash that like button if you believe that the best love stories are the ones you have to fight for. Because Amara's journey isn't over. There's more to come. More battles. More victories. More love. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what happens next.